Hey there! Doors. You've seen them, you've heard of them, perhaps you've even walked through one yourself. There's a lot of different kinds of doors, all with their own uses. Cabinet doors, car doors, con doors, so it's pretty safe to say that doors play a really big part in our day-to-day lives. But what are doors, and where did they come from? Well, in the year 1332, Dorian Doormaker had an epiphany while trying to tell the world's first knock-knock joke. Wait, that's not the topic of this video. I'm here to talk about video games, like some kind of nerd. Just like in real life, doors are a very important asset in video games, and they have been for a very long time. Ever since games stopped being this, people have been putting doors in their games for all kinds of reasons. They're arguably one of the most common objects found in video games, and yet, they don't get any of the love they deserve. So yeah, let's talk about doors. Like I said, doors are an asset found in nearly every video game out there, and can actually vary quite a bit between different iterations. Even games that don't necessarily need doors as part of their core design, usually still have them as part of the environments, probably because we just interact with them so seamlessly in our lives that not having them present could easily break your immersion. However, in most cases, doors have a certain use. Can you think of what that might be? Let's look at the definition of the word door for some help. A barrier at the entrance to a building, room or vehicle. That's right, doors are usually made to be walked through, taking you from one area to the next. Now, this is certainly a very simple concept, but believe it or not, there is actually a decent amount of nuance to this. Even amongst the most basic implementations of doors, there's still doors that you need to interact with to go through, doors that open automatically, doors that take you to the next room seamlessly, and ones that just shoot you into a loading screen. The loading screen variety is certainly one of the weaker ones, as they're definitely the least immersive way to connect areas. That being said, they are definitely the easiest to implement, and there's ways to make even these more interesting. This staple of showing an animation of a door opening while simultaneously loading the next area was first used in Resident Evil. It's definitely a very cool spin on the traditional loading screen, being much more immersive for the player and even invoking a certain sense of dread, since these doors usually open very slowly, giving the player a lot of time to anticipate whatever may be hiding behind them. That being said, if you have to watch every single door slowly open, every single time you go through it, without any option to skip it throughout the entire game, yeah, it can get very annoying. These transitional doors definitely do their job, but it's safe to say that seamless doors like this one are usually the much nicer option, at least for the player. On the developer side though, these kinds of doors are obviously much more difficult to get right. The fact that they are actually moving parts of the environment means you need to look out for a lot more aspects than with the kinds of doors that are essentially just a part of the wall that can be interacted with. A lot of games opt into automatically opening proximity-based doors, which are definitely good, but they need to fit into the environment somehow, or they can easily break your immersion as well. You're probably not just gonna have some kind of futuristic door that reacts to your proximity in the backrooms of a Costco. However, if they do fit in, they can make for pretty nice looking functional doors and can save developers a lot of time, since these are also decently easy to implement, all things considered. Where it gets really funky though, is with doors that actually interact with the player character. I mean seriously, look at this. Now, that maybe didn't actually look all that impressive. However, if you understand the fact that game making is basically some sort of twisted arcane art, and it's completely insane that there are people who understand how to do any of this, it's honestly pretty awesome. I mean, if you don't believe me, Kurt Margenau, director of The Last of Us Part 2, actually said that out of everything in this massive Game of the Year nominated game, the doors are what took the devs the longest to get right. In fact, doors are so notoriously hard to implement that there's a concept in game design simply called the door problem, which basically refers to the fact that the implementation of seemingly simple things can often be a much more difficult task than an outlooker might perceive them as. But you don't have to do all that in order to have a functioning door. Devs also opt into just having a pre-made cutscene play out when you interact with the door, or, especially in first-person games, just having doors that open by themselves when you interact with them, without any input from the player character. Both of these options work just fine and are definitely easier than doing what these big AAA games sometimes do, even though they're still kinda insane. I mean, as a reminder, we're coming from this. That's still not where it ends though, because while making sure you get doors properly implemented, while not having them break the player's immersion, and getting them to fit into the environment neatly, you also have the option of actually making them a part of gameplay. There's many ways to do this. The most simple option is using doors as a form of cover. In a heated situation, rushing through a door into the next room could provide you a moment of safety before your enemy most likely quickly continues his pursuit. This cover could also be more direct though. Heavier doors might be used in order to keep something outside of your safe zone, or even to keep something inside somewhere. Doors can also be something that you and your enemies can destroy, opening up new angles and allowing surprise attacks on people that might be hiding behind them. Games like Hotline Miami are a pretty good example of this. The top-down perspective here makes it easy to tell what exactly is going on behind a door, letting you plot out how you wanna go about clearing a room before busting in and using the swing of the door to knock out some enemies. Other options include having specific doors that signify what's behind them. Probably the most notable use of this is every single roguelike game ever, but other games also do this, for example with the door to a save room that gives you that much needed moment of reprieve once you see it. Of course, all of these can be built upon even more in all kinds of creative ways. For example by letting them build up a player's expectations and then twisting that and using the player's knowledge against them. There's just countless options. Despite all of this, my favorite connection between doors and gameplay is when the door itself becomes your enemy. Having that uncertainty that even one of the simplest objects such as the door could be against you means that any sort of safety is out the window. Once you're no longer just thinking about what could be behind there, but considering if behind there even exists, you've got some real problems to worry about. I really think these kinds of fake doors are genius. They prey on something that we take for granted so much and use it against you. Knowing that these things are around and you might just miss some of the details giving them away in the heat of the moment is one of the most dreadful feelings. I just love when a game uses its mechanics in such a way that you become overly aware of something as simple as the doors. Whether that's by having them protect you, attack you, or be attackable. On top of that, doors can also just make for some amazing set pieces. Huge, grandiose doors are a staple in video games, letting players quickly know that whatever place they may be entering holds some sort of significance in this world. I mean, who doesn't love being able to open a giant, detailed door and letting it take them to the coolest area they've ever seen? I think that a grandiose opening into an area can really make that area's reveal 10 times more impressive, especially if it's some kind of door that has been blocking your path for the majority of the game that you finally get to open. The last thing that doors are also always great for is environmental storytelling. Doors can be a sign of what kind of people built whatever place you're exploring. They can show age and how advanced whatever civilization that was here before you might have been. And then there's broken doors. Ruins of places long gone are very commonly used in order to convey some history in a game's world, but doors specifically can be very powerful, since seeing a brutally destroyed door can give you some good context as to what exactly may have gone wrong to cause the havoc you're seeing. It could possibly even be used to foreshadow something that you are going to encounter later on. Hey, it's been a little while since my last upload. If you're one of the few returning viewers on this video, you probably forgot that I exist until like 15 minutes ago. But I swear the time between videos will be a lot shorter going forward. This is actually one of two videos that I've kind of been sitting on for quite a while that I'm finally finishing now. So yeah, happy to finally put something out there again. And if there's not any curveballs thrown my way, that other video should also be done very soon. See ya then, bye bye.